What if that stubborn itch you keep scratching and dry skin, but your body trying to warn you about something much deeper? Most people over 65 assume itching is just part of aging. Skin gets thinner, drier, more sensitive. You buy a stronger lotion, switch soaps, maybe blame the weather, end of story. But here's the mystery. In some cases, itching shows up months before a serious diagnosis. No rash, no obvious cause, just persistent irritation in very specific areas of the body. And 60. Those signals matter more than ever. Let's step back and look at the long timeline. In early adulthood, your liver filters toxins efficiently. Your kidneys regulate waste smoothly. Your blood sugar stays relatively stable. Your immune system responds fast and clean. If your skin itches in your 20s, it's usually simple: allergies, bug bites, eczema. Then your 40s arrive. Metabolism slows slightly. According to data from the CDC, nearly half of American adults develop high blood pressure by midlife. Blood sugar regulation begins to wobble. Fat accumulation around the liver becomes more common. You don't feel dramatic symptoms, but internally, systems are under more strain. Now here's the shift after 70 that most people ignore. Skin becomes more than a protective layer. It becomes a messenger. Research published in major geriatric journals shows chronic unexplained itching, also called pruritus, is significantly more common in adults over 65. In fact, studies estimate that up to 20% of older adults experience persistent itching without a clear dermatologic cause. That's not random. It often connects to deeper organ function. So let's talk about the 4 itchy spots that may signal serious health problems after 60. The first is persistent itching on the lower legs and feet. Most people assume this is just dry skin, but here's what can be hiding underneath. Peripheral artery disease and diabetes both affect circulation. The CDC reports that more than 37 million Americans have diabetes, and the majority, under 45. Poor circulation means less oxygen reaches the skin. Nerve endings misfire, itching develops. Here's the cause and effect timeline. Years of high blood sugar starting in your 40s damage small blood vessels. By your 60s and 70s, nerve sensitivity changes. The itch begins before numbness becomes obvious. The breaking point, a small wound that won't heal. Then infection, then hospitalization. The fallout can be severe. Diabetes is the leading cause of non-traumatic lower limb amputations in the United States, and it often begins with subtle symptoms people ignore. Now the second itchy spot, the palms of your hands. This one surprises people. Persistent itching of the palms, especially without rash, can signal liver dysfunction. Conditions like cholestasis or bile duct obstruction allow bile salts to accumulate in the bloodstream. That buildup triggers itching. The American Liver Foundation notes that liver disease often progresses silently. Early symptoms are vague: fatigue, mild itching. Nothing dramatic. Origins trace back decades. Alcohol use, fatty liver in midlife, high cholesterol. By 70, liver resilience declines. The itch becomes one of the earliest visible signals. The failed fix: switching hand creams repeatedly instead of checking liver enzymes. Now let's move to the third spot, itching along the back, especially between the shoulder blades. This area is commonly associated with a condition called notalgia paresthetica, which can be related to nerve compression, but persistent unexplained itching here can also correlate with underlying spinal degeneration or, in rarer cases, internal disease. As we age, vertebrae compress, nerves become irritated. According to national musculoskeletal data, degenerative spine changes affect the majority of adults over 60. Here's the twist. Chronic inflammation associated with certain cancers and systemic illnesses can also manifest as generalized back itching long before other symptoms. This is where patterns matter. It's not one itchy day, it's months. And finally, the fourth spot, itching without rash around the chest or underarms. This area demands attention. In some cases, persistent itching in the chest area can precede inflammatory breast conditions or lymphatic issues. Blood cancers, such as lymphoma, have been documented to cause unexplained itching months before diagnosis. According to the National Cancer Institute, nearly 60% of cancer diagnoses occur in adults 65 and older. Many patients report subtle symptoms that seemed harmless at first. Here's the timeline again. Immune system function changes with age. Inflammatory markers increase. Cancer risk rises due to accumulated DNA damage over decades. Itching can become one of the earliest systemic signals. The breaking point usually appears when additional symptoms emerge. Night sweats, swollen lymph nodes, weight loss. But by then, months may have passed. Let's talk about fallout. Ignoring persistent itching can delay diagnosis. Delayed diagnosis often means more aggressive treatment, higher medical costs, greater disruption to independence. Across millions of American seniors, this pattern repeats. A symptom dismissed as just aging becomes the clue that was overlooked. Now I want to build suspense around something important. Not every itch is serious. In fact, most aren't, but here's the difference: duration, location, and lack of visible rash. If itching persists longer than 2 weeks without improvement, especially in the areas we discussed, it deserves medical attention. The failed fixes many seniors try include over-the-counter creams, antihistamines, or simply tolerating it. Old advice says, it's just dry skin. Modern evidence says persistent unexplained itching can be systemic. So, what can you do starting today? First, track it. Write down where the itching occurs, how long it lasts, and whether anything relieves it. Patterns reveal clues. Second, request basic blood work if itching persists. Liver function tests, kidney panels, blood glucose levels. These are simple and can uncover hidden problems early. Third, hydrate your skin properly, but don't rely on lotion alone as the solution. If moisturizers don't resolve it within 2 weeks, escalate the conversation with your doctor. Here's the clear warning. After 60, unexplained persistent itching is not something to ignore, especially if it appears in specific areas without a rash. And here's the open thought I want you thinking about. If your skin can quietly reveal what's happening inside your body, what other subtle physical signals are you overlooking right now? In the next deep dive, we're going to uncover the silent symptoms that most adults over 70 dismiss until it's too late. If this information gave you a new perspective, press like so more people over 60 can see it. Share it with someone who constantly says, it's just age. Drop a comment if any of these itchy spots sound familiar.